Namaste. My name is Timothy Halloran. I'm an astrologer from Savannah, Georgia. This is a bi-weekly astrological forecast, this being for the 2nd to 3rd week of December 2015. And today is Monday, December 7th. And we're going to be talking about a new moon in Sagittarius this Friday the 11th, a rather potent new moon. And we might already be experiencing some of this pinch, some of this tension, some of this paranoia, some of this stress. There is a lot of intensity that is going on this week. So we need to talk about the underlying urges, the forces that are at work, so we can best harness them for a positive potential and not be beaten down and not feel like the universe is against us, and try to really change in a positive direction is the potential of this time. As any period where we are experiencing a lot of intensity, a lot of tension, a lot of pressure, it is always an opportunity for a lot of transformation to happen in a short amount of time. So where to even begin this week? I mean, we have the Uranus-Pluto square that has been active throughout the last 3 years. Uranus is moving retrograde at 16 degrees Aries and forming a closer and closer, tighter square to Pluto. And there are these revolutionary, transformative urges that have been coming out of the collective through the last 3 years that is about the change that is necessary for our own evolution, and therefore the prerequisite of survival is needed for us to evolve, for us to move forward in a way that we all are seeing more and more every day, a way forward that we need to go. So although the full moons are stereotypically where we experience more tension because the Earth is in between the Sun and the Moon, and so we're getting pulled in opposite directions, a new moon is a period of death and rebirth where there is one defined direction. And this is a powerful new moon, and it's saying we have one way we need to go. We have some stuff we need to figure out, and this is the time for us to own up to it and to clean it up. This is a week where things are real. This is a week where we have to anticipate adjustment in order for us to go through so much evolution and transformation in a short amount of time that can really take us forward. But we've got to be ready for this roller coaster. And this, as I said, we've already probably been feeling this. I mean, right now the moon has just moved into Scorpio and is conjunct Venus. Venus moved into Scorpio last Friday, December 4th. When Venus is in Scorpio, we are more seriously and more intensely looking at how we relate to other people. And there can be this necessity to look at what is actually going on, what is real. Sometimes this can instigate conflict. Sometimes this can bring up what we're all attracted to and repulsed by in each other. And this is certainly a period where we are looking at ourselves, we are looking at each other, and we are seeing where we need to adjust, both in ourselves and with the other. And the most critical underlying theme that's really going on through this whole next important period astrologically, really the next year or 2 years, is an underlying theme of forgiveness. We are having to see what needs to change and then change it out of our own being humans that are learning and growing. And so there's a lot of learning and growing that's happening these days. Yesterday we also had Mars in Libra square to Pluto. So what we have going on this week is Mars entering the pinch, the Pluto-Uranus revolutionary transformative pinch. And Mars is now in this pinch. Squared Pluto yesterday and is going to oppose Uranus on Thursday and is going to remain exactly opposite Uranus the day of our full moon, our new moon on Friday. So this Mars, Pluto, Uranus pinch, what is this? Is we are feeling these urges, these restlessness. This is a restless week. This is a sleepless week. This is a week where we are seeing all the little bits and pieces and it's overstimulating and we feel like we need to get the hell out of here. I mean, something has got to give. We've got to change something. We've got to adjust something. We have to use all of our resources at this time in order for us to feel sane, in order for us to be able to actually survive in not a physical way, but in an emotional way, in order for us to be strong, in order for us to be able to make it through the rapids of life without being devastated. And this revolutionary energy is just, whoosh, it's filling us up, and it's like right now we're having our meter of how much energy we can channel at one time being tested. It's like, holy moly, I feel like I am going to vibrate out of my skull. The sun is trine Uranus tomorrow, and then comes into this Uranus-Pluto square for the new moon on the new moon. The new moon in Sagittarius is trine to Uranus, sextile to Mars. We've got a lot of this revolutionary, changing, brilliant, doing it differently, having to invent things differently. And there's also this, paranoia energy that is basically us having to step into the unknown, us having to take plunges, us having to take risks. And hopefully these are healthy risks. Hopefully we are seeing how this revolutionary riskiness can actually be in service to love, as there is nothing more revolutionary than love, particularly in this day and age where we look out into the world and we see the severe lack of it. So this is a period that we are entering where we are learning to be very practical about managing our own energy, taking care of ourselves, and relating to other people, because we are being put into situations where we are forced to look at these things. With Saturn being in Sagittarius, and now the sun's in Sagittarius, it's this time of having everything illuminated, including the stuff that maybe we've been shoving under the rug for a little while. Sagittarius naturally is the sign about being connected with natural law. Sagittarius is this intuition that comes from us naturally understanding where we are from a bird's eye big picture point of view. That way we see, oh yes, the human experience, the universal truth, where we're coming and where we're going. Oh yes, it's all very natural to us. And yet Saturn in Sagittarius is showing us what? Well, Saturn is very relevant to us through the next 9 years because Pluto is in the sign of Capricorn. And Saturn rules Capricorn. Pluto, for the next 9 years, is transforming Capricorn. It's already been established for a long time. Capricorn is our foundation, it's our government, it's our culture, it's our society. And so Saturn in Sagittarius is showing us this is what's in our culture, is what's in our society that might not be totally aligned with natural law and the truth. As our society and our culture is what is needing to be changed at this time. And so what's becoming more increasingly obvious to us is how culture, is how other people, is how authority figures has influenced us in a way to disconnect us from our own nature, therefore our own capability to help ourselves. So we've got some serious stuff to look at. And this is a period where we can, not exactly feel totally connected to the cherubs and the seraphims and the cupids, and we're having all these ecstatic, blissful realizations, and everything is one. This is a period where we might feel like we're a little barred off from that light and fluffy area. And what we are learning to do, big picture point of view, is to not see that as necessarily a problem, like we are being punished and we've done something wrong. No, it's saying, well, nature and life has within it this natural way of healing itself, all right? So we have the North Node in Virgo through the next year and like 4 or 5 months. And it's this period of healing ourselves. And Virgo rules the earth, rules our bodies, rules our energetic systems. And when we get sick, when there's something going wrong in our body, doesn't Virgo have a natural way of letting us know what needs to be addressed? Well, this is what's happening very potently at this time, as we might feel kind of disconnected up here because we're having to adjust what's here. And this is not a problem. This is what is necessary in order for us to heal. However, when we ignore the messages that nature and our bodies are trying to send us, what happens? It gets more and more severe, and then this leads us into what is called crisis, which is another Virgodian potential, where if we don't get the message and we ignore the message, we ignore the message, we ignore the message has to come through in a different way so we actually get the point and heal ourselves. Because our earth and our body doesn't actually want us to go extinct just because we're so deluded and so cut off from our senses that we think that we're okay when we're really not. And so crisis can actually be in our service. However, we do need to transform many of the collective consensus beliefs that when negative or bad things happen, it's because of us slipping up or punishment or us not believing or whatever the right thing, we didn't meditate enough today, we didn't pray enough today, etc. We are coming to terms with the fact that reality says that we have things to adjust that are right in front of us. Now Mercury is going to move into Capricorn on Wednesday, and then is going to approach Pluto the following weekend near the winter solstice. So we have this period where our minds are seeing what's in front of us, what we need to do. And Mercury in Capricorn's a little more serious. Again, this is a time where our intuitions and our typical spiritual connectivity may not seem like it's right in front of our faces. We might have to figure out how we're going to go about our lives and our day when we don't have that type of ever-present, oh, well, you know, we can always just fall back on this practice or this phrase or this belief or this ritual, and it's okay that we have those things, but we are being asked to adjust them right now. So let's talk about the new moon in Sagittarius. This new moon is 19 degrees of Sagittarius around 5:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Friday, December 11th. And it is square to Chiron at 17 degrees Pisces, square to Jupiter at 22 degrees Virgo, trine to Uranus 16 degrees Aries, sextile to Mars 16 degrees Aries. If that's not enough, we have on that same day of the new moon, asteroid Pallas Athena forming an exact conjunction to Pluto in Capricorn. Whoa! So what is this new moon in Sagittarius? Like we said, it is us being forced one way, because it's a death and a rebirth. When we're born, there's a one way gonna get born into the world direction. Sagittarius is nature. Sagittarius is our connectivity to the world. Sagittarius is also religion, nations, what divides us amongst nations. Sectarianism is the negative, distorted output of Sagittarius. That is a result of a disconnection from nature. Nationalism, sectarianism, and dividedness amongst human beings is a result of a distortion from nature. When we are in tune with actual natural law, we see that all humans and beings are brothers and sisters. There is no nation, there is no sectarianism, there is no division via race, via class, via belief at all. That is a distortion of nature, that we have these concepts and beliefs in our heads. Now, what's very interesting is we have Saturn in Sagittarius squared to Neptune in Pisces. The last time Saturn was in Sagittarius squared to Neptune in Pisces was in 1692 and 93 during the Salem witch trials. There wasn't exactly a lot of agreement of underlying belief system. Instead, there was a lot of fearful paranoia, tension, and outburst, and not knowing how to handle this, and lots of fear, and lots of trying to convince ourselves this and that, and this is who to blame, and this is what's going on. And there was this outbreak of not uniform anything. And instead, it was the authorities, it was the religions, it was the people in charge that were laying the law, and it was a devastating time. Now, interesting that the new moon at 19 degrees Sagittarius, the Sabian symbol for this new moon is men cutting through the ice. Men cutting through the ice. Why are the men cutting through the ice? Well, let's assume that there's something underneath the ice that we're trying to get to. It could be fish. According to Dane Rudyard, I believe the Sabian symbol says that they're taking out ice in order to save it for summertime. So there is a purpose, there is a function to this time, which is cutting through the ice. What is the ice? The ice is the distortions and the confusion and the imprisoning nature that we have all been in for thousands of years. It is this distortion of nature into becoming these man-made laws that tell us that there are particular ways of doing things. Oh, this is how you should spend your energy. This is how you should relate to other people. This is what you need to do in order to feel good about yourself. And if you don't do what you're supposed to do, sorry, you can't feel good about yourself. You're not a good enough spiritual aspirant. You're not a good enough American, blah, blah, blah. You're not a hard enough worker. You lazy son of a bitch, you. These are all coming from cultural conditioning, and we've all been imprisoned by these things for lifetimes because it's been so prevalent on this planet and just been getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. North Node in Virgo is saying it is time for us to heal ourselves. Our bodies, our earth, and all the natural energetic systems are letting us know it is a time for adjustment. Virgo is a natural hypersensitivity where we become aware of all the tiny little bits and pieces. That way we can see what needs to be cleaned and fixed up. 2016, many astrologers are calling the year of purification as a result of this Virgonian-centric period. And at the time of this new moon, we have Jupiter in Virgo opposite to Chiron in Pisces, T-squaring this new moon. What is this saying? It is saying we have to adjust how we interact with each other as nations, as religions, and human beings living on this world in order to heal ourselves. And this is happening on the mental field, it's happening on the emotional field, it's certainly happening on the physical field. Although when we look out into the physical, we see a lot of devastation. What is this crisis letting us know needs to happen? We need to end this devastation. But this is happening more than on just the physical. This is happening in our emotional. This is happening in our mental. We are being aware of how these ulterior voices and motives coming from our parents, our teachers, and the past have become our own inner voices. And now these crowds of people inhabit our own energetic being and tells us, this is what you're doing that's right, this is what you're doing that's wrong. And what does this happen? What does this create in us? A lot of confliction. A lot of confliction because we're not certain about what's true and what's not and what's best for us at this particular moment. This particular moment is about the, oh, I thought I had it together and I need to figure something out. We need to figure out what we need to bring into how we handle our emotions, how we think, how we interact in our day, in order for us to actually create patterns in ourselves and in the world that are going to bring more openness, more spaciousness, more love, so that we can actually be calm. This is a period where leaders are being born, because it is a call to leadership whenever there's a lot of intensity and restlessness, and whomever can just simply remain calm and piece together. This is your initiation and call to leadership. Because when everybody's freaking out and nobody knows what's going on, and then there's the person who's sitting there and is calm and collected and understands, aha, this is all nature happening. We're in the process of a lot of intensity and evolution happening in a short amount of time, but it's taking us somewhere that we really should see as a positive thing. This is where we want to go. Well, then automatically everybody kind of, well, okay, let's hear some more of your wisdom. I would also like to remain calm and collected. So this is a lot of inner work that is changing how we relate to other people, how we use our energy and our general power. This is that Mars opposite to Uranus square to Pluto is we have to change how we use our willpower and how we interact with other people. I mean, obviously we can look out at the world at large and we can see how, once again, crisis, making available to us what needs to change. But let's look into ourselves for a moment. we're not going to be able to help anybody else or anything else or do anything less than drag other people down if we can't help ourselves first. That is a law of nature, is it not? This is a law of nature which has been obliterated due to many religious concepts which disagree with this law of nature. Right? When the airplane is going down and the air masks pop down, what do they say? They say, put the mask over your own freaking mouth first. How are you going to be able to help your kids or anybody else on the plane when you're suffocating from lack of oxygen? So within the collective consciousness, there have been these concepts that, oh, put yourself last, put yourself last, put yourself at the very bottom. Work your ass off until you're a dead carcass. In order to be a good person. That's what it means to be a martyr. That's what it means to be blah, blah, blah. And this is something that needs to change because it is a distortion of natural law. Which natural law is you have to take care of yourself first, like it or not, if you're going to practically help other people. So, what is happening at the time of this new moon is asteroid Pallas Athena on top of Pluto. Wow. And that's going to be square to Mars, square to Uranus. Pallas Athena is the archetype and force at this time that is working to create justice and equality. And I see her as a co-ruler of Libra, where Mars is at. Mars is our willpower, our desires, our energy that is trying to work out in such a way so we can create harmony in ourselves. Which means that we have to learn how to take care of ourselves, is the evolutionary work of this entire era. So Pluto going through Capricorn for the next 9 years is about taking down and transforming the traditions, the regiments, the structures, the cultural authoritative influences that has caused these distortions in the world, which is creating us all to suffer and near extinction. Pluto is transiting Capricorn and getting rid of the old Capricorn, of what Capricorn used to be, which is, well, you've got to work really hard in order to survive. You've got to fight off your enemies in order to survive. You've got to put yourself last in order to survive, is the old distorted Capricorn. The evolutionary intention, the goal, the new energy that we're bringing in from this is Cancer, the sign opposite of Pluto. Not only this, but in our entire long-term period, we have the south nodes of Jupiter, of Pluto, of Saturn in Capricorn, and the north node is in Cancer. This is letting us know that the overwhelming evolutionary intention for this time, in order to bring good health into ourselves, in order to bring good health into this world, into nations, generally, we have to learn to take care of ourselves and each other. And you cannot take care of anybody else until you've learned how to take care of yourself. And that's part of the tension of this week, is it's not easy to do, is it? It's not easy to take care of ourselves in this day and age. When there's other people, when there's the distractions, when there's the work. And on top of all this, there's all these additional little things that are going on. Oh my gosh, the bills got messed up. These little tiny things. Oh, we locked our keys in the car. All these things are just loaded onto us to make it difficult for us to take care of ourselves. So we are forced to mature and evolve into better ways of doing it. We have to learn how to do better. We have to learn how to love and care for ourselves even when things on the outside are telling us not to. The authority figures, the utility company, the boss, our parents, our relationships, where people are saying, oh, you're not doing it right because of this, this, and this. And then all of the guilt and the shame for thousands of years or this entire past age come back onto us. With the moon's nodes axis being in the Pisces-Virgo polarity, this stuff is also relevant for the entire past age. The beliefs that have been prevalent in the last 2,000 years, the ways that we interact resulting from these beliefs that have been going on for the last 2,000 years, we are having to look, is this stuff actually taking care of myself in the best possible way? And if I'm not able to properly take care of myself, how am I supposed to do good in the world? So this is a very serious time in that regard. We are being forced by Saturn, forced by the North Node in Virgo to see what needs to be fixed. And the most important thing is for us to love ourselves. And in order for us to even do that, because here's another thing, is we can realize, oh my goodness, I have a very hard time loving myself. It's as if I have an easier time doing everything else than loving myself, when I am actually totally in my core sincere. Which it's even difficult to get to that core level sometimes because there's so many distractions, so many things. We think we are so many things. And then sometimes it takes something. It takes an experience. It takes a little push for us to see, oh, okay, you know what? I haven't been taking care of myself. I am exhausted. I am overstimulated. I am stressed out. I am paranoid. How am I supposed to work a 9-to-5 job if I can't sit still? Okay, now is the time for us to reformulate. Now is the time for us to restructure. And this is Pallas Athena on Pluto. Pallas Athena is this goddess of wisdom, but she's also a warrior goddess. And she is establishing equality in our world, and she's doing this through balance of the masculine-feminine principle, which she archetypally represents. She represents a fully integrated masculinity that is initiating. We need to do this now. Action. This is masculine energy. It is penetrative. It is the sword. And this is Mars in Libra. This is what needs to happen in order for us to have social justice in this world. This is what needs to change in order for us to have balance between masculinity and femininity. And her being in Capricorn, conjunct Pluto, is this structural reformulation, this restructuring, this reconfiguration, in order for us to establish this level of justice and equality. In order for us to reestablish with actual nature, which means when we actually know who we are, what nature is, where we are, where we're going towards, this all comes from tapping into nature. Then, and only then, can we live in harmony with nature. This is a period of seeing all the little bits and pieces of how we, individually, collectively, as nations, as religions, as people in general, have not lived in harmony with nature. And when we look out into the world, it becomes more and more and more obvious to us until we actually do something about it. And it begins with us taking care of and loving ourselves. The conditioning that we have been poisoned by is so severe, and we've been poisoned and poisoned and poisoned for so long. Think about this concept. The most important thing we could do for the world is take care of ourselves and listen to all the voices and all the emotions that come up into us that say, oh, that's not true, and oh, that's selfish, and blah, 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 blah. And think about how much those voices are either in agreement or disagreement with nature, and how those voices are allowing us to find harmony and good health with ourselves or not. It's a time to recognize these voices, and it's a time to see them for what they actually are. Which is not bad, which is not evil. This is a period where we're seeing beyond good and evil. This is a period where, oh, we need to evolve, and we're all like children, and we all make mistakes, and this is a time to grow up. So the heavy-duty underlying lesson, we can also say, is when we are looking at our plate full of stuff, what does love tell us to do? Love says accept and love everything that comes to you. If we're going to say that this entire universe comes out of love and love is all pervasive and unconditional love is the most powerful ruler of everything, the way I do say, then we have to start respecting that, and we have to actually start applying that to our life. Which means something comes up, we love and accept that. Oh, I'm not a perfect person today, we love and accept that. Oh, I made a mistake, I'm a bad person, we love and accept that. Somebody else made a mistake, we love and accept that. We're all inner children, we're just trying to learn and grow up here. However, love is the acceptance of these things. It's not running away, it's understanding. I understand, this is all still beauty and love that is inviting me to challenge my mental concepts of what love and beauty is. Because we can think of some other distortions in nature, in our way of being, which might tell us that, oh, this isn't exactly how it is. And so when we start believing these distortions, when we get handed a plate full of stuff, instead of saying, oh, this is my plate full and I'm going to love it, accept it, it's not a punishment, this is simply my evolution being brought to me, we reject it. And we say, this is not mine, that's not my stuff. The devil made me do it. Other people are screwing up the world. Other nations are screwing up the world. And so what we have to do is forgive. And this forgiveness begins with ourself. We cannot forgive other people, other nations, other religions until we forgive and love ourselves. So there's a lot of changes, there's a lot of tumultuousness, but if we can remember this underlying direction, that it's most important for us to take care of ourselves. That's not meaning that we can simply skimmy away from what needs to be addressed. The only way we're going to be able to, swallow this down and transmute it, to be able to actually accept what is, we have to master loving and caring for ourselves and understanding that there is innocence here and it's not all a shitstorm and it's not all evil. This is always taking us into some lesson. There is always evolution happening in the service of love. There is no possible experience that we can have that is not teaching us, which is our little clue to ourselves that we are actually living in a reality that is fundamentally awesome. If we can go the distance, and it is a distance, to reconnect with actual nature and try to figure out how to instate balance, harmony, and love into our lives. So in this regard, I am absolutely wishing the best to all of you in this endeavor. Namaste.